about it all is this is all something that I really wanted to build for a long time. And the biggest part of that is a team. And I like what you guys are doing as far as being part of this team. And I'm starting to see how other positions in the team are being filled. For example, Beef coming in and my friend Max and stuff like that. I'm starting to see how different people are starting to split focus onto different things. And I'm wanting to allow that as much as possible, because the way I've worked before, because it's mostly been me and I've been the heart of a project for so long, it's mostly like, no, I need everyone to be on the same page as me. It's not the case. In fact, that's the whole reason for a team. If you guys are thinking forward proofing or future proofing the design language and the branding of the site itself and the brand, well, then that's fantastic, because I'm not thinking about that.
Right.
I'm psyched to have a site that makes people say ooh and ah when they look at it.
Yeah.
So because I'm not thinking about that, Nick and I are thinking like, how can we get clients in? How can we get money coming in so that when this gets to a point, we could like solidify a real team. And, you know, like, because all this stuff that I've been putting into this for so long has taken away the short-term money that pays my bills every month, right. You know? So I was fine to do that, and I am fine to do that because I believe in the vision of where this is going. However, if it's going to be sustainable, I need to think about the short term as well. Right. And I need to think about like some of these other things. So that's what I'm psyched about, is the fact that I can stop thinking about this branding stuff. You guys can think about that. Nick and I can think about how can we get back some of this short-term stuff to make the long-term goals more sustainable, or the path to the long-term goals more sustainable. And Beef is actually thinking more on the YouTube side and video content, YouTube creation stuff, like the Pete McKinnon type thing. Yeah, like good. He's focused on that. And I'm like, good, I'm glad you're focused on that, because I don't care. I'll do it. I want to do it. But at the same time, I'm focused on these other things. And what's great about that is I was talking to Nick about this, is the fact that I told this to Beef too. I'm psyched that I'm not thinking about the same thing you guys are thinking about, because I'm thinking about the thing that if I start thinking about it now, it will be ready by the time you guys, or for example, like Beef figures out the thing that's going to help get people coming and looking regularly, right?
Right.
So he's thinking about building that. And I'm like, okay, good. I'm there to help build that. But where my thoughts are getting the groundwork going for the sounds page, the group, the different things that bring in actual revenue and things like that, so that by the time people do have, like, there is an audience of regulars coming through, and those people click through, there's something to click to when they do click through.
Right.
Right. So I think that's essential to the success of what we're doing right now. And I don't want to discourage what you guys are passionate about pursuing. I just want to throw little ideas out there, but understand that some of my ideas are coming from a place of what I need now to get moving, you know, like, and whatever you need from me to get moving things on your end, let me know, because if it requires video footage from me or additional direction or whatever, I'm there to give it, you know? So, that's cool. Cause like the last thing I'm thinking about now is how do we redesign the site? Cause we just got it designed. Right. But I see the value in it.
Well,
especially because of
looking at the added value too. That story brand site literally changed while we were looking at it.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're constantly updated as well.
Yeah, because we're learning, and that's always assumed is like, okay, this is just a step to what it's inevitably going to become. I'm just psyched that we were able to like knock something out that, you know, to you guys feels a little disjointed, but to anybody else looking at it, they're like, man, this is awesome.
Right.
You know, and that's
So
cool.
many people
The
that
other
were showing it, that website, they said, how much did you pay for this? They were expecting like the $5,000 mark for
Right.
that website.
And this is like something we kind of just like stumbled through and knocked out really quick.
Right. Yeah. The other thing about all this is that I designed most of that site by myself. Like PJ, you know, he was taking his sabbatical, or whatever you want to call it. So it's hard for him to design within my constraints or whatever I made, because I don't even know what those are. I just kind of plotted my way through it trying to make something. So
Right.
There's not like a very consistent way for that site as it is for PJ to work in that ecosystem. And I completely get that, because I have a hard time working in that ecosystem because I don't have much experience with the design side of things. So I'm trying to find a way that we can integrate what I did, but also integrate PJ's much more experienced side of things into that.
Yeah, I'm psyched about that too, because again, when I look at this, the same way I looked at how we filmed the other day, sure, we only filmed like 2 little spots, but what we gained in experience from filming it is going to make us a year from now be able to film 20 different spots in the same amount of time.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
and that's what I'm psyched about this kind of working relationship here. I want to give you guys a space to be able to get the experience
Mhm.
that allows you to define the most fluid way for you to work with each other, let alone with a client.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I get that. And it's just cool to have all the stuff there where you can now look at the existing site as like, okay, this is an outline.
Right.
You know, what do we do to edit this down and make this more impactful?
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of the way I see it, is kind of like that was the rough draft to me. And it definitely, like, you know, from the book now pages to the pricing page to whatever other page that's unfinished, like I still feel like there's a lot of work left to do on it.
Sure.
And I want to do that in the most streamlined and efficient way possible, which I feel is to change certain things, like perhaps the colors. And, you know, I feel like we're at a crossroads where we have to question everything we've done and see if that's the best way that it should be done going forward.
Audit everything.
Basically an audit. And that's kind of what
audit, not question. I like the word audit.
And so that's that. And then the other thing is I realized that when I made that original stylescape, just like PJ did, I didn't really design it for Studio Sensei. I kind of designed it for DaVinci, because that's what I was familiar with.
I get that.
But
what's cool is we could just port that over to DaVinci.
Exactly, and I think that would work really. I think the DaVinci website would work brilliantly with the purple and the blue. Just because I've seen the DaVinci logo with the purple with the blue, and I've seen you in that coat with the purple and the blue, or the teal.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that's how it feels to me. Like on a fundamental level, I feel that those colors I connect with you even before you mentioned them, because specifically I remember seeing you in the teal coat before we ever met. I watched a performance at some place. You were playing on a push, and you're pushing.
I think it was NAM.
Something like yeah. And so yeah, I don't know. That was the first association I had with you beyond Solila.
Yeah, I mean, which is, you know, probably why I gravitated towards it. Right. You know, because it did. But like PJ said, here's the other thing. PJ and I have gone through the sound practice process together, like the Studio Sensei way. Like there's more to do, PJ. Like we've only had 2 or 3 sessions. They've been great and they've covered a lot of ground, but you get it at this point. And I think I'm really interested at this point to understand what he sees now that he feels it. You know, now that you understand the brand more on a firsthand basis, what's that look like to you? You know, so it's interesting. I'm I'm interested to see where it goes from here. As far as the branding goes. In the meanwhile, I'm just going to keep like, I'm going to, forgive me now, but I'm going to keep like poking like, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this?
Right.
Because as we're building this stuff up, I'm open to these things changing. We're not like at 100,000 users or 50 or 20,000 users or anything like that at this point to be at a point where we can't like completely change directions, Mm-hmm. So I have faith in the fact that maybe even like I don't know if you heard, River, but I was talking to PJ about like little call to action cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like something like that, for example, that I can post on my Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
This is something like that. A couple of those that I can post every other day, you know what I mean, on my site, my respective sites, that help to like start to, who knows, you make one of those and it might be like, oh, this is the way to go with Studio Sensei,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like doing it with the site and then trickling down from there. Maybe one of those things that I need this week informs what the site's going to look like.
Right.
So I'm just going to keep poking and prodding it for stuff like that because, and if you don't have if it's not within the original agreement or within the timetable of you being able to do it, let me know. I'll make something up on my own. But
Yes.
I'm extending that to you mainly because I look at you guys as the specialists in that field,
Right.
and want to respect your foresight in how you want to shape the look and branding of this. You know what I mean? Like me asking you is not just saying, hey, I need the extra hands. No, it's like me asking you because I respect that you might have a vision of where this is going, even if just a little bit more conceived than what I have. It doesn't even necessarily have to be really tight. It could be a loose vision that you're exploring and developing as you go. But still, I'm respecting you guys with that so that I could just be like, oh, okay, cool. I trust that this fits in. It's easier for me to get something from you and trust that it fits in with what you guys have envisioned, as opposed to me creating something and saying, these guys will be cool with this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to say?
I was just gonna mention you only did do 2 sessions with PJ. Did you want to just have him book a couple through the site?
Yeah, but bring that up later.
Okay.
Yeah, like
cool.
If we're in the flow of this,
Okay, sorry.
just make a note.
Yeah.
When I'm in meetings, I like to have a piece of paper.
Okay.
I actually learned this from doing meetings with people. Is like I have a piece of paper, and if I get an idea, I write it down so that I can bring it up like when there's a space for it. But yeah, it's a good thing to mention. But I said basically last meeting that whenever they want another session, just to go book it.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah. Last meeting, I just said next session you want, just book it.
Okay.
They can do that now.
Yeah. Auto-populates too.
I'll remind you guys, like whenever you want to, if you want a session this week with me or something, just book it and we'll do it.
Okay.
We have a website for it.
Yeah.
I'll give you the URL if you forgot.
What was that?
So yeah, those are the things that are up on my side of the radar, are like those little call to action things that I can kind of like, because my whole thing is I want to start the ground process of pushing people and developing sort of consistency talking about something. I don't expect to come out and be like, hey, look, guys, this, I don't think it's going to be like this fully realized vision that I'm going to come out and just be able to show everyone. Right.
Right.
I feel like it's something where, hey, check this out. 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 And whether they see like 1.0 of it or 1.5 or 4.0 of the same thing, it doesn't really matter. they still see me every day talking about it.
Mhm.
And that's why I was really pressed to want to get some sort of landing page for studiosensei.com, which is why at the moment I'm psyched with what we have.
Right.
Which is also to say why I'm psyched that you guys aren't, you know, because if I'm psyched about it, it'll never change. And I don't disagree that it could stand to change. You know, it's got to evolve. It's got to evolve as things go. So from this side of things over here on the East Coast, we're just going to be poking at like, okay, some call to action cards would be great for social media, so I can pop every other day, you know. And then I'll also understand that you guys are focused in on the things that you're focused in on.
Mhm.
Did you guys have any other comments? Or
I mean, I started making some templates.
oh, cool.
Let's see if I can get out of this.
Maybe I do have a note on your design. Maybe not have a guy who killed himself on my coaching site.
Oh, who is that?
You don't know who that is? That's the guy that's Chester Bennington or whatever.
Is it?
Yeah. Maybe just scribble him out and leave his microphone.
Microphone floating.
That's who it looked like. I think it was him.
Oh, really?
The guy from Lincoln Park.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't look. Maybe it is.
Wait, let me see. Where? Is that him? It looks like him. Where'd you get that image?
I got it from Paxels.
I think it is.
Is it? It's sad.
It is sad. I didn't even realize. I think the only way I can tell is because there's this one photo. He's got the same lines. Where was I?
Hmm.
I think that is Chester Banks. That's funny. That shouldn't be on a royalty-free site if it's him. I guess maybe it's the French photo. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, that is weird. I just use it because it's red.
We should just change all my testimonials to be from like people who are like known depressed people.
Kanye West.
That'd be funny.
See, that looks cool. I hate the microphone, but it looks
That's our proof. You use that for everything.
I do. I like that though.
Yeah.
That's really dope. I could see.
If we could figure get a controller in there somehow, like some sort of.
Sure, maybe, or even that exact image without the microphone would work.
You sure
You know, like, it still looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started making templates in Photoshop, and you can just use this to replace the text or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that's cool.
There we go.
Isn't what are the branding colors of the future? Is it red?
It's
Blue, yellow.
blue and yellow, but they're really good at what they do, and I would never use those two colors together.
Like Best Buy.
Yeah, it's like Best Buy colors.
Blue and yellow used to be one of the Wu-Tang combinations too. But again, those are the types of things that I don't know. I like variants of colors. So when I think about like being locked into just a few color choices, it makes me feel like no. But at the same time, I get what you guys are saying.
You can just use, if you have a limited color palette for your brand, you can use that as an accent on other assets that you want to make.
Yeah,
Like
so
it doesn't
like,
have to be like everything red. You can
Right. Which I'm cool with that for sure.
yeah, that just makes it easier to use like color photos, for example, because it's a lot easier for it to match the red versus match two other colors, and then black and white and whatnot. Yeah. I don't know. It's impressive that they use these two colors because they're really like very saturated, contrasty colors. That works, but yeah. Like,
Yeah, I don't think it really matters what they are, you know? Yeah. Like that could easily be a different color set and it wouldn't be any less successful.
right.
And that's something I keep in my head too, which is why, like, I mentioned, well, let's just make it. See, to me, the thing that matters most is what's the thing that's most sustainable. And for me, what's most sustainable is the thing that I get hyped to mess with, you know?
Mm.
If I'm the one that's going to look at it and have to type up the copy for it, what's going to inspire me to want to make 50 of those memes, you know? And that's one of the points I want to drive home is like, you know, I don't really care what it winds up being in the end, so long as it's cool, you know? Because something could work conceptually, like red definitely works in a Japanese way, although red works in tons of different ways. Black and yellow is very martial arts iconic because of what Bruce Lee did. But also, like in Filipino martial arts, they use black and yellow or black and red a lot. And those things have conceptual ties. But if it's not done in a way that looks good, then why does it matter? You know? Not to say it wouldn't be done in a way that looks good. I'm just trying to think of like, okay, what is the point to me? You know, and the point to me doesn't necessarily mean it has to have a story, which is interesting for me because I've always had to have a story in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it a sign of maturity on my part, just in my journey, that I don't need it anymore. Not to say you'd be immature to have a story. It's just for me, I used to be obsessed with it.
You already are the story.
Yeah. Right. I just want to bring people in. I want to make this thing work and want to be able to maintain consistency with posting and stuff with it. But all that aside, we already know that. Interested to see what you guys have to show. And that's about it. Those call to action cards would be great. If you need anything from me, let me know. River, you said you'd like video from me. Maybe we make it a thing where every day we just send you a new video to download, okay. You know, or something. What's that?
That'd work. There's a couple things I wanted. Would you send me some sort of email with like all of the different titles, names, and basic descriptions of the Masada kits?
Yes.
So that we can start working around with designs for those. And then let's see, what are you looking for as far, because like I'm not sure where to go from here with colors. So what are you looking for as like some sort of deliverable to make that decision?
More mock-ups?
My first thought is more mock-ups. Let me just put this out there as far as my first thought. My first thought is it's kind of difficult to beat what's in my hand right now. What's tangible and in my hand right now is a site that's quote unquote done. That looks a certain way. So it's a hard sell for me to hear about, oh, we could make it all in red, or we could make it all this way, or we could change things around when I'm looking at something that looks great to me. Mm-hmm. You're having me conceptualize something that's potentially better. So some sort of mock-up that smashes the existing site would do it. You know what I mean? Like if you made up a mock-up of certain aspects of the site that was like, here's what we're thinking about doing with this, and then it was like, holy shit, that's awesome. Let's replace the one we have with that. Then yeah, that would be awesome. At the end of the day, the thing that's cool for me is nothing's ever wasted time or anything, because here we were talking about, what are we going to do for DaVinci? What are we going to do for DaVinci? What are we going to do for DaVinci? And we might have just already done it with the existing site. You know, we might have done what DaVinci is with this site, and that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what I'd be interested in seeing is like a mock-up of like, what does a DaVinci site look like? What does that have using the existing stylescape or a tweaked version of the existing stylescape? And then what replaces the existing stylescape for studiosensei.com?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could be pieces, you know, like it could be just enough to like show the potential of something. Just something that kind of, like what you showed me already is cool. However, it still feels like a mock-up and not something that could just immediately replace what we have. You know, for instance, the vision board you have on, what is that?
Oh, Pinterest?
On Pinterest, that's really cool. You know, if something like that were in place of Chester Bennington on that stylescape, maybe it would be more of a sell, you know, to say like, okay, cool, let's see more of this type of thing. But those are my immediate thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could flesh it more out.
Mm-hmm. What do you? Yeah, PJ and I'll talk about actually.
I mean, I'm interested to know what you guys are psyched about too. You know, like what does it do for you to look at what's there versus the mock-up? Like, does that mock-up convince you to replace what's up there already?
Yeah, except for now that I know Chester Bennington. But yeah, like for me, it definitely worked better because it felt more like what I originally intended. Because I put that Pinterest board together before I even made that stylescape. The one that I gave to you guys initially. So like it feels a lot more like what I originally thought of. And I don't know. And then after doing the messing around with the blue and purple on my computer for like 3 hours, I like it feels a lot more DaVinci than Studio Sensei. Just because like I don't know, Studio Sensei feels a lot more like.
Well,
and DaVinci's kind of like this cool dude who performs and he has sounds and stuff. Yeah. And that's how I feel like the colors communicate to me more.
Okay.
But
it's always been confusing for me because it's all the things that I spend 24 hours a day thinking about and working on. So it's really difficult for me to differentiate. I like that you guys have a clear-cut differentiation between these things, again, because it's difficult for me to have those.
It just feels that way to me now, like after messing around with them and stuff. Like,
well, I mean, we can make a hidden page that could.
Yeah, I can just
that we could develop, you know, and once that's ready, we could just swap it right out with the existing.
Yeah, why don't we just duplicate the we can just duplicate a few pages and then just edit them. Like it's that easy.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think that's the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then like let's pretend that okay, cool, yeah, you have to go ahead, redesign the site or whatever, and then you're just designing the site as opposed to designing something that I may or may not like.
Right, yeah,
because it's a living, breathing thing, the process anyway. It's something where you got to go in and there's going to be a little tweaking here and a little concession made here and things like that. But I say just start rolling with it, see where it goes. Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else. Specifically, what do you need regarding the Masada stuff?
Just titles, basic descriptions. Like, what's the differentiate? Why is this kit different than this kit? In words.
Okay.
So that we can differentiate them through the design.
My first thought was just to have the Cycle Kit and then volume 1s through whatever.
Okay.
Just like volumize them as opposed to like having different themes, because
That's how he has them already.
yeah, that's pretty much how they're already set up. It's not like one is like, he does have some which we haven't converted that are the percussion Cycle Kit, you know, or but right now it's just like all kick, snare, hi-hat stuff. So it's not like, it's just more of the same thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I can come up with some sort of general description of Cycle Kits, period, and then come up with a name for it, and then it'll just be volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4.
Yeah. Yeah. And then as far as imagery, what do you think? What do you want them to look like?
That's difficult.
The new sound pack looking advertisement icons are like boxes, like you're buying a box of samples and it's like a 3D model of a box. That's
always cool
type of look.
Yeah, I like that.
Look at innovating something different.
I like that. I also like a square image. I really like what my guys at MSX Audio and Racks for Live are doing, but I don't necessarily want to bite tore out what they're doing. They have fun stuff. Let me see.
They have like GIFs and stuff for their icons. Yeah.
Well, they have that. I think it's more like, I really like the MSX Audio stuff. MSX Audio, MSXaudio.com. Like each one of their things have personality to it, but
it's almost like a album cover.
Yeah, they look like album covers, but like they're fun. Like this is like the Sandwich Kit 9. It's got like a cheetah on the front and it's just this hodgepodge of stuff.
So you should have Cliff make that stuff. Cliff art, you know, that would be kind of entertaining to a point.
It would be entertaining, but he's, I don't know.
Well, you wanted the hodgepodge, man.
You latched on just to the hodgepodge part of it. But MSX Audio, the stuff that they do, it's always fun. But it's got personality to it, but it's also slick to look at, you know. But doesn't necessarily mean that I want to go that way with it. I just like how they do it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah.
Those are more fun.
They're fun, right?
You know how
like there's humor in them, you know?
Maybe with the mock-ups, try to do one that's like the box, one that's like a fun one, and then maybe something else. I don't know, like 3 different.
Well, they got to kind of all feel the same, you know? Well, like, I do like the idea of doing a 3D box. That's cool.
What I mean by that is just do like concepts of each 3, to like bring like 3 different rough concepts and then go with one.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I think that's what would happen anyway. Something else I was talking to Masada about today is one of the things that's funny about his kits. He doesn't really have a lot of celebrity endorsements because everyone who gets these kits doesn't like to tell people about it. And I get that, because when I first got them, I was like, oh, I want to keep these a secret.
Yeah.
You know, do you understand that? Like, because you get them and you're like, oh, this is like cheating and this is like perfect and this is awesome. I don't want anyone else to have this. So that kind of works against him. But yeah, no, exactly. They're too good. And I actually want to change that. I want to be really loud about his kits. But what's funny is like he's heard that before, you know. He's talked to people and he's like finds out like this big producer uses them, this big producer uses them, and then finds out like, oh yeah, well, they're like, no, I don't want to tell anybody about it.
Yeah, I mean that's you just market it on Facebook and say they're too good, or you say some stuff like.
I mean, I'm probably going to do that in whatever video I make for them. I'm probably going to mention that.
Just say like, I don't want to tell you about this, but now I make money from it, so I'm going to tell you about this.
Well, I could even say like I know people who are like really big producers who use this, and I'm always surprised to hear that they use it because they don't really talk about it. And I talk to them about it, and no one wants to mention that these are in existence because everyone wants to keep them a secret.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can honestly say that in whatever ad that I'm doing, because I know people who use it and call it their secret sauce, you know, but it's not their secret to have. Well, cool. Let me know if you need anything from me, and I'll talk to you guys. Friday.
Yes.
All righty.
Thanks, guys.
Later.
You guys are funny. All right.
All right.
Peace, y'all.
Bye-bye.